welcome. You're watching Living with COVID, your one-stop shop guide to navigating the new normal. A panel of expert doctors join us to answer your questions on how to lead your life during this pandemic. Dr. Kishore Kharche is a consultant endocrinologist from the United Sigma Hospital in Aurangabad. We have Dr. Harsha Lekatpure. He's a consultant endocrinologist and diabetes specialist joining us from the Ruby Hall Clinic in Pune. Appreciate you, doctors, for being with us. If I can begin by asking you, Dr. Kharche, many patients are not visiting hospitals and clinics. They fear that they'll contract the COVID-19 infection. Could you elaborate for our viewers some of the steps that doctors like yourselves are taking to make your clinic safe?
Yeah. So patient safety is usually the first priority for every clinic, as it is for my clinic. For that, we take few measures. We have made 3 strategies for that. We make it as first is screening, then sanitizing, and then physical distancing. So whenever any patient comes to my clinic, first he is screened for temperature and any COVID related symptoms. Later on, patient sanitizes their hands and go to the reception. At receptions, we make arrangements so that there is no overcrowding in that area. In waiting area also, patient has to follow the physical distancing measures. When patient comes to doctor's consultation room, we follow all the hygienic measures and safety measures for patient. Including me, all my staff uses PPE kits throughout the clinic time. All staff is actively screened for any COVID-related symptoms, and they are regularly trained for infection prevention and control practices throughout the day. All these measures help my clinic to be more safer and happier place for my patients.
Let me then go to Dr. Harshal. Dr. Harshal, at a time when moving out of your homes is a challenge, how do people, especially with diabetes, manage their blood tests? And I think this is a question that actually goes way beyond just diabetes patients because, blood tests are mandated even as routine tests for a lot of other patients as well. How safe is it to go out and get a blood test during these times?
Yeah. So many patients, they are postponing their blood test because of the COVID fear. But nowadays, most of the reputed labs, they have started following the strict protocols in terms of COVID prevention and screening. So even if you are afraid to get out to get a blood test, now many labs, they are visiting you at home, at your doorstep, collecting the blood sample. And they are following the same precautions like screening of the person who is collecting the blood, then wearing the gloves, face shield and mask. And with the minimal contact, they are now able to collect your blood samples for a testing. So the lockdown and fear of COVID should not be a reason to postpone your blood test. Because as you know, most of your medications or adjustments of your dosages are dependent on the blood test results. So with all safety precautions, now it is almost 100% safe to go for a blood test. And if the person is coming to collect a blood sample at your doorstep, that is also safe, provided all the precautions related to the COVID are observed.
All right. Dr. Kharche, what are the kind of precautions that, one should take, especially if you're living with elderly parents at home? A lot of us are extremely insecure about going home and meeting our parents. A lot of us are going back to work, or even if you're visiting the marketplace. Is it safe, A, to meet your parents, and B, what are the kind of precautions that one can take?
Elderly population, especially if they have other medical conditions like diabetes, hypertension or lung diseases, are usually at higher risk of COVID-related symptoms. So if you are staying with your elderly parents, make sure that you limit your in-person contacts with them. During household activities like taking food, watching TV, we should follow physical distancing. Frequently touch surfaces in the house like remotes, keys, fridge handle, everything should be sanitized regularly. And everyone in a family should follow hand hygiene very strictly. Whoever is coming from outside should take a bath first and then only they can enter in the common area. This will limit the outs infection for them. If anyone in the family is having COVID related symptoms, he or she should be immediately isolated. In addition to that, we can help elderly people to get their medicines and groceries, so they need not to go outside for their medications and needful things. In case of emergency, we can help them to connect with their doctor by telemedicine, so that exposure to clinics is again decreased. The most important point is, by watching pandemic news, it can be upsetting for most of them. So we should make sure that these people take a gap from these news and take involvement in some household activities or gamings or gardening, so that it can relieve their stress.
Dr. Harshal, if I can come back to you, does COVID-19 cause any hormonal imbalance? Are there any special kind of precautions that should be taken by people who have thyroid conditions?
Yes. So there are two things to it. The patients who are known diabetic and they are on medications due to the lockdown or reduced physical activity, as such, their blood glucose levels can go up. So they should be checking their blood glucose levels frequently to see whether their control is adequate or not. At the same time, increased levels of stress because of the two things, physical and mental stress due to the oncoming news of pandemics, that can also worsen their diabetes control. At the same time, the patients who are on a thyroid medications, they are not able to get their prescriptions refilled or not able to get their blood test done due to the lockdown or other problems. So these patients should not discontinue their medications. Whenever possible, they should get in touch with their doctor via telemedicine, and it is possible that all the thyroid patients can, their dosage can be adjusted once they get get in touch with their doctors via telemedicine.
All right, very interesting points there. Dr. Harshal, if I can come back to you, and since you're both diabetes specialists on the broadcast today, I think we can focus a couple of questions just on that. Diabetes management is a huge challenge, especially during times of a lockdown when people are being encouraged to stay at home and not step out, not even for exercise. How can one effectively manage that condition? Doctor, if you'd like to elaborate on that.
Yes. So two keys to that is, first, that due to the lockdown, whenever your physical activity is diminished, you need to compensate that by adjusting that physical activity somewhere else. Like at home, you can do the small exercises like rope skipping or walking in the hallways, or even the upper body exercises that can be done at the home. At the same time, the frequency of monitoring the blood glucose level should be increased. If you have a blood glucometer at your home, especially the patients who are on insulin therapy, they should be monitoring their sugars more frequently, like once in a 2-3 days. And unknowingly, when we are in a lockdown and at home, unknowingly our food intake goes a little bit haywire, our diet plans goes a little bit haywire due to availability and many other issues. So these patients should focus more on carbohydrate restrictions and whatever snacks they are taking to fulfill their appetite, they should contain more of a proteins. This is more of a general sense, the all diabetic patient. But the patients who have other specific comorbidities like CKD, that is kidney related disease or heart related issues, they should get in touch with the dietitian to get their diet plan again reevaluated, so that they can both manage well their diet as well as the physical activity.
All right, very interesting. So diet, physical activity, even though it is a challenge at these times, should be managed. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, Dr. Harshal?
Yes, apart from that, the regular frequent checking, plus in case of any unusual thing, they should get in touch with their healthcare provider immediately, be it a nurse or a doctor via telemedicine app. They should not self-medicate, should not start or stop any medication on their own. Whenever possible, get a consultation done through the telemedicine, and then doctors can help them start or stop any specific medication.
All right. Dr. Kharche, if I can bring you back into the conversation, as most of us return to offices, even with limited people, how does one manage in an office setting. What are the kind of SOPs that you think need to be followed, especially in an office setting? When you're accessing cafeterias or common areas, even many people have questions on SOPs accessing common toilets as well. What would you recommend?
When you are going to office, it is better to bring your own tiffin and your water bottle and limit use of cafeterias, because cafeteria are the one of the crowded places in the office times. So whenever avoiding cafeteria is not possible, you have to follow few norms of physical distancing and hand hygiene. So you should make sure that your cafeteria staff follows hand hygiene and they are regularly screened for COVID-19 related symptoms. Whatever you order from cafeteria, try to make payment by e-method and avoid cash. While before eating, you have to wash your hands thoroughly. You have to eat your food alone. Do not share with anyone. So wherever possible, office should allocate a specific time and seat for each candidate. In that time only, that candidate should attend the cafeteria and have their food. That seat should be allotted to next candidate only when that seat is sanitized. When you are sitting in the cafeteria area, you should not sit next to each other or in front of each other.
Right.
You should keep minimum of 3 to 4 feet of distance.
I think this is a very important point. Dr. Harshal, is there anything that you would like to add as well, to SOPs that should be followed, do's and don'ts in an office space?
Yeah, the most of the points well elaborated by Dr. Kharche. I would just like to add that there should be carrying a small bottle of sanitizer all the time
Right.
with you, because many of times it is not possible, or most of the time the wash basin is not accessible to wash your hands frequently. So whenever there is a contact with the common areas like table or chairs like that, you should be cleaning your hands frequently, at least with the sanitizers, to minimize the risk of transmission.
All right. On that note, we're going to slip into a very short break. But on the other side, we'll address the important questions of traveling and SOPs, do's and don'ts on how you should travel during this pandemic. Do stay tuned.
Knowledge Partner, USV, your reliable healthcare partner.
Welcome back. You're watching Living with COVID. We have a panel of expert doctors to help you navigate through how you can, in fact, effectively lead your life during this pandemic. Dr. Ekatpuri, if I can come back to you, what advice would you give people who are suffering from hypertension? We know that the pandemic and the lockdown has led to heightened stress levels even among those who are not suffering from hypertension at this time. So what's the advice that you'd like to give patients?
Yes. So there are two things to the patients who are hypertensive. First, due to the lockdown, your physical activity, the routine activity has gone down. At the same time, that can lead to the putting on little bit more weight, and simultaneously you end up having more snacks. And most of the snacks, as you know, they are salty in nature. So unknowingly, your salt consumption also goes up during the time of the lockdown or decreased physical activity. So ideal way to tackle this would be to limit your sodium intake. You have to check the amount of sodium on the each packet that you are taking, and you should restrict your salt intake to less than 5 grams per day. Plus, at the same time, to decrease your stress level, because stress is the one of the most contributory factor to the accelerating the hypertension. You can engage into the activities which are more pleasurable, like reading, dancing, or whatever your hobbies are. You should give at least 30 to 40 minutes of each day to the pleasurable activities. And the same time, the activity or physical activity that you should not, if you are not able to get out of the house, that activities you should compensate by doing in the home itself. And of course, if you have the blood pressure machine available at home, you should be checking your blood pressure. Ideally, it should be checked early in the morning when you wake up at that time, and maintain a diary of it. And if it is persistently high, then you should get in touch with your doctor to see if he or she can adjust your antihypertensive medication. But at any condition, you should not increase or decrease the doses of antihypertensive medication, and you should not discontinue the medications without the help of your healthcare provider.
I think that's very crucial, to not self-medicate or discontinue any medication without consulting your healthcare professional or your designated doctor. Dr. Kharche, is there anything that you'd like to add? Any, successful strategies for management of hypertension and generally management of heightened stress levels at this time?
I would say to decrease hypertension, salt intake should be reduced. Your stress level should be reduced. You should engage in more active physical activity, and you can engage in dancing or other activities. You have to take your medications regularly. You have to hydrate yourself, because many of the elderly people, they don't take enough water.
All right. The other question that many have is traveling at this time, and we'll try and break it down and ask doctors questions on all kinds of different traveling. But Dr. Kharche, if I can come back to you at this moment, what are the steps that one should take while you're traveling to, say, an office on a daily basis, when you need to travel to an office or for any kind of an essential activity, even to your local grocery store? Private cars, of course, are the preferred choice, but what if you don't have a car at home? Then should you be taking a bus? Should you be taking an auto? Should you be taking a cab? Should you walk it? What should you do?
Okay, so first important thing is, while living from home, you should be having a mask and one pocket sanitizer, so that you can maintain your basic hygiene during travel. So as you said, if you have car, you have to prefer it, and preferably don't share it. If you are sharing it, you have to sit in crisscross manner and avoid using ACs. And frequently touch surfaces in car like door handle or steering or seat belts or seats should be sanitized regularly. But when you don't have car, if you have to use a public transport like bus, there you have to follow rules of physical distancing. Even during waiting for the bus on bus stand, you have to maintain a safe distance of 6 feet. Try to make all ticket payments by e-method. Sit on the chairs by alternate method. Avoid touching the commonly touched areas like windows, railings and buttons in your vehicle. If you are using auto, definitely it should be strictly non-sharing, because there is very high rate of transmission of COVID infection in these auto areas.
Okay. Dr. Harshal, is there anything that you'd like to add? What are the kind of SOPs that you recommend for travel, whether it is to an office space, or, whether it's your daily travel to office or travel for any other purpose?
So most of the points as well elaborated by Dr. Kharche. I would just like to add that whenever you are stepping out of the house, make sure that you carry a minimum utilities with you. Like regularly while going to the office, if you are carrying a bag and tiffin and everything else, reduce it down. Only essential utilities like whatever amount. If you are carrying a large tiffin, make it a small tiffin, and avoid wearing tie and other utilities.
Why do you
like
say
that.
that,
So if you
doctor?
minimize the amount of utilities with you, there is a less risk of surface transmission.
Okay.
And at the same time, if it is possible, you can wear a gloves while you are utilizing the shared taxi or even shared buses like that. If you wear a gloves, then it is easier to sterilize the gloves with the sanitizers than
Right.
your hands. And avoid touching the common surfaces as and whenever it's possible. Avoid touching the common surfaces.
But that's
Carry a
very interesting,
sanitizer
Dr.
and
Harshal.
minimum
You're actually saying carry lesser things with you on your person, because then lesser things, in fact, have the chance of catching the virus or carrying the virus. So you're saying diminish, the chances of surface transmission. But in the event that a person has to carry, say, a tiffin box and a bag to office, what do you recommend is the sanitization protocol for these things? Do you recommend that your bag and your car keys, your phone, your tiffin, for instance, on a daily basis should be sanitized, and how should one do that?
Yeah, so most of the time, if possible, like the surfaces like plastic and metal surfaces can be sanitized with our handheld sanitizer, alcohol-based sanitizer. But most of the times it is not possible to sanitize them. So you can keep it in a plastic covers. So while stepping out, you can keep those small things in a one small plastic cover, and you can sanitize that plastic cover. And by the time you come back home, you can dispose of that plastic cover so that your utilities will remain disinfected or intact.
All right, very interesting. Since we've talked about local travel, I think it's also important to talk about precautions while taking a flight, or what about intercity travel at this point, Dr. Kharche? What are the kind of precautions that one should take if at all you have to travel?
Yeah, intercity travels are usually of long travel. So whenever possible, try to avoid them. If you are using cabs or private vehicles, it is better to keep your windows open so that there will be less transmission from the other passengers from your vehicle. If you are using flight, then that becomes very crucial because flight is very close surface, and most of the aeroplanes lines have taken sufficient precautions for that, to keep a safe distance, to take a proper prior appointment so that there is no overcrowding while entering in the aeroplane and all that. Avoid eating anything during travel. Avoid touching your face, nose, and if you want to sneeze or do something, do it by keeping a handkerchief in front of you so that you cannot transfer it to other passengers.
Okay, Dr. Harshal, anything very quickly that you'd like to add about long distance travel at this time?
Yes. So as far as possible, long distance travels has to be avoided. But if at all you need to travel long distance, keep the number of people very minimal. At least 1 or 2 people can travel in a private car. Always the private car is the preferred mode for a long distance travel. And keep enough quantity of masks and hand gloves with you. At the same time, avoid sharing the food with the other people. Avoid eating from the common places. Avoid taking parcels. Many of the hotels are delivering the parcel, but as far as possible, avoid it. Always carry your home cooked food or home cooked meal, and always follow the physical distancing, that is 6 feet distance from any person that you get in a contact with. That is the most essential while doing these long route travels.
Right. All right. I think that's all we have time for on this episode. Thank you so much, doctors, for sparing the time of day and answering our questions. And thanks so much for watching.
Knowledge Partner, USV, your reliable healthcare partner.